Welcome back to Photography Tips and Tricks, your show for all things digital, inspiration, gear reviews, anything that has to do with photography, anything that has to do with making you better photographers. Now, my name is RC, and before I throw it to a couple of different people, I wanted to share a tip of my own. We talked last week a little bit about flashes and how to be able to use flashes to light small groups in a room. And I wanted to kind of take a step back and show you guys another component of a flash that people usually don't think about. Whenever people think about flashes, they're almost always thinking about the power of a flash, right? You can take a flash and you can make it full power, 1/1, or you can take that flash and bring it down and make it 1/16. So it's 16th power, 32nd power. Flashes can go down as much as 128th power for a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. But what people don't spend a lot of time talking about is the fact that a flash can zoom. You'll see often enough when you're looking at a flash that there is a zoom section right there that says 70 mm. Now, you'll also notice that when I come and press a zoom button, and this is Nikon or Canon, it doesn't matter, you'll have the option to change that zoom. So right now, 17 millimeters is the zoom of the flash. You're probably used to 17 millimeters on lenses, 50 millimeter on lenses, and you'll notice that as it gets smaller, 17, 14, the coverage is wider on a lens. Well, it's the same way on a flash. When you have a flash set to 17 millimeter, the beam is being spread quite a bit. Now, as you take that zoom and you bring that zoom in and you start going into 20s and 24s, and you start going into 50s, 70s, what you're doing is you're narrowing that beam and you're throwing that beam a little bit more intense at a bigger distance. If you move that even further, we'll go ahead and take that out and notice that this flash can go all the way up to 200 millimeters. So that's a really, really long throw, and it's a really, really intense spotlight effect. So you can use this to be able to get your light to travel at a far distance, as well as to give it a really, really good pin spot kind of effect. So it's something that you should consider whenever you're working with something. The last tip that I'll tell you for this is, if you're using any kind of modifier that sits on your flash that you use to kind of cover it, this usually spreads the light. Anytime that that comes on, watch this. I am at 200 millimeter. If you take that attachment and you pull that attachment out, anything that you put on here, like this, is gonna spread the light. It'll automatically take your flash and it'll move it to around 14 millimeters, the widest that it can possibly go. You put this back, and whenever you put this back, it's going to change that, and now you'll see your flash is back to 200. Move this back up, 14. So if you're trying to change that flash and you're going, it won't go off of 14, it won't go off of 14, chances are you have that attachment on. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we've got more tips, more tricks, more inspiration here on Photography Tips and Tricks.
The business of photography begins the moment you press the button and click the shutter. But it isn't just about taking great photographs. Whether you're a professional or a beginner, you need to learn how to protect yourself and the images you take. I'm New York attorney Ed Greenberg, and along with photographer Jack Resnicki, together we'll walk you through each and every step of the process. We will teach you how to protect your images as well as protect yourself. We'll show you why your model releases are every bit as important as the images you take. So come check out our classes on model releases and copyright registration on kelbytraining.com and only on kelbytraining.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks. RC here. Now, I want to bring on Tamara Lackey. Tamara's a phenomenal photographer that deals with family portraiture, and she is a master at working with children and moms and dads and making beautiful images. She's got some great tips for us on how to do just that. Take a look.
Hey everybody, welcome to D-Town TV. I'm on the set here with Tamara Lackey, photographer, author, host of Redefine, many, many other things of which we will not go into the gory details of here. We spent a couple hours together so far, but it really feels like a couple of days at this point.
Weeks.
I'm just teasing. Tamara was in town here, and as you know, anybody that comes by our studio, we immediately recruit them and put them in front of the camera to do some tips. So you have fallen victim to that.
Thank you.
And I think one of the ones you have today, we kind of talked a little bit about it ahead of time, but some tips on just interacting with people.
Yeah. Well, I photograph a lot of portraits and children and families, and I think one of the best tips I can get is to recognize that children are not pets. And the amount of times I see, not just photographers, but people in general relating to children and talking to them like, hello, little buddy.
Who's a good boy?
Who's a good boy? Don't you look handsome?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times children can go through their whole life and be treated that way constantly, so that you become one more, for better or worse, one more person coming at them with the exact same sort of demeaning meaner, and not meaning to.
Yeah.
And I think when you can relate to children in a way that's just like, hey, how you doing? You know, I like your outfit. Yeah, yeah. You want to untuck your jeans, and what were you guys doing earlier? And your voice is actually a human voice.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, but you know what? It's actually abnormal to them because they're not often treated that way. You know, even in school, the teachers talk to them a certain way, and everywhere they go. So I think that you stand out just by being normal with children.
Because they're probably already a little apprehensive. I mean, they're coming there. Their parents are probably, you know, threatened death to them. You better smile. You know,
I advise that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, apparently they're already a little apprehensive at that point. So I think probably just a normal conversation probably.
Yeah, like they ran into a normal person that's going to be, so one of the first things I think about is just simply to think about your tone and how you interact and recognize.
That's a great tip.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. I'm done.
And
yet
on a high
note. And I think the other thing too is if you are photographing a family and they've come in the door and you say threatened death, but honestly, the amount of effort that usually the mom is going through to get them in the door is significant. And what I find is most of the time, by the time I'm sitting down with a family and I'm about to photograph them, they're all stressed out. And so it's my complete job to calm them down and to relax them. And I do think that's part of the job. It's not just to click, click, click. The job is to kind of get in their heads a little bit and figure out how to calm this situation.
In a way.
There's a psychology to this big time. And to think about what is my intention when I'm photographing them. So if I were going into a sales meeting, I'm thinking, what do I want to get out of this? What do I want signed on the bottom line? If I'm going to go into a portrait session, what do I want to get out of this? And so that means, what am I looking for? So if I'm looking at a family, one of the things I think about is how do they connect? How do they belong together? And how do I show that in a way that's meaningful and that they can take this away as something that's not just one other shot of their faces, but something that shows something about them.
Yeah, because they can look at it and they can remember they were having fun at the time when that picture was taken, not 5 seconds before little Tommy just got grounded from the Xbox.
Yeah.
Because
the portrait becomes a marker of like the imprisonment. You know, like, no, we don't want that.
Remember that time.
Exactly. And I think honestly those feelings stay, you know? So you want to change those feelings.
And you know what's cool about those tips is that it takes the, I've always thought that the techie side of photography, that's the easy part. You can master the dials, you can master the lenses, and there's instruction booklets for that. There's not an instruction booklet for the other side of the camera for doing what you're doing, and you're doing it every day. There's not really an instruction booklet for that, and that's part of the most important part. I mean, somebody who walks up and shoots and photographs a family and is very dry is going to get a very different photo than someone like you who's going to come up and interact with them and try to think about those things and elicit that emotion from them. Yeah,
and when I do workshops, I make a point of, on my everyday shoots, photographing the befores. I'm like, this is where we're just getting them together.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to work, and I'm going to have some sort of exchange and back and forth, and look at the after, and it's stunning. You know, it's not like you're creating something that wasn't there. You're just putting them in a place where they can show it to you. Yeah, but you have to give that.
I always, if I ever do a family session, I always save some of the photos of like the babies crying and everything.
Yeah,
I'll send it to them after just so they get a laugh from it. But anyway, where can people find out a little bit more about you?
My website.
There's one or two people that might want to.
Probably one. Tamara Lackey website. Twitter, Tamara Lackey. Facebook. Tamara Lackey Photography. Tamara Lackey Photography.
Okay, see.
And Google Plus. Tamara Lackey. It's kind of sounding redundant.
You've got some, and I'm sure you have all those links on your website and everything as well. And you've got some books out there too?
Yes. Envisioning Family is the new one with from Peach Pit. This is Peach Pit.
It's like a Peach Pit library over here.
Envisioning Family just came out, and that's all about portrait photography as it relates to families, but also groups. You know, a lot of people I know are interested in just getting better at how to manage a lot of people in a portrait.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And I am sure we will have you on again. In fact, I'm sure in about 30 seconds we're going to do another one of these for another show. But we're going to have a nice, graceful cut right now.
Okay.
To say goodbye to everybody.
Okay.
Until next time.
Okay. Wait, this one.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Tamara. She's a phenomenal, phenomenal instructor, and you can catch her, Joel Grimes, and a bunch of other people over at kelbytraining.com. Guys, that is the place for you to get all sorts of photographic, Photoshop, inspiration, techniques, interviews, one-on-one conferences. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal resource, and it's all available to you over at kelbytraining.com. You can also catch these people live at Photoshop World, www.photoshopworld.com. This is happening April 17th to the 19th at the Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. So you got to make sure that you sign up, and you sign up really fast because early bird is going to be done very, very soon. This is where you're going to get the world's best instructors all under one roof. Make sure you take a look at it over at photoshopworld.com. Now, we have a special tutorial from Joel Grimes, and Joel Grimes is going to show us how to be able to take our cameras and actually use multiple images to increase resolutions using a slider and nodal points from Really Right Stuff. Take a look.
Hi, this is Joel Grimes. I'm going to show you a little trick I do that increases my megapixels. I love big images. I want to go like huge in my enlargements, and so what I do is I have this is a slider right here that allows me to get my nodal point on my camera. So what I do is, if I swivel my camera and I don't have my nodal point, what's going to happen is my parallax is going to be way off. And so this is Really Right Stuff, made by Really Right Stuff. They're an amazing company. And it's not all that expensive, but you have to have a ball head that'll fit it, and they have a plate if you have a favorite ball head, you can put it on. But basically what I do is, I put this on here, and because I have a zoom lens, I'm going to have a different nodal point for each setting on my lenses. So I've written them down on a little piece of paper here, and the best way to find a nodal point is to I usually get like a light stand and then find a door or something in the back that I can focus on. And as I swivel back and forth, what's going to happen is that light stand and the door are going to go whoop, whoop, like this, back and forth. So when I start to slide this forward and backwards, at some point, I'm going to find a spot where those two little points stay straight. And then I make that mark. And so when I'm out in the field, I say, okay, 24 millimeter lens, 4.5. There's my nodal point, and I go click, 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 and I'll put these images together in Photoshop and get this huge file. So that's all I have for you right now. If you want to find more about what I do, go to joelgrimes.com. Have all sorts of information there, my blog, and about my workshops. So back to you guys at the studio.
Here at Kelby Training, we're always working on new and innovative ways to give you access to the pros. I'm Mia McCormick. Join me for a new kind of class, a one-on-one interview where we tap into the creative and business mindsets of your favorite photographers. On deck this class, the business side of photographer, retoucher, and trainer Glenn Dewis, only on kelbytraining.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the website to watch and the contest for this week. Now, the website that I want you to take a look at is Alexandria Huff. It's over at www.alexandriahuff.com, and she's got some great portraiture work. She's a San Francisco-based photographer that does motorsports and portraits, and she's got some beautiful, beautiful setups here. You can see all of that stuff over at alexandriahuff.com. Now, it's contest time. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the kelbytv.com website. I want you to find episode 15 of Photography Tips and Tricks. So go to kelbytv.com. You'll see all of the different shows and find Photography Tips and Tricks. Look for episode 15. From there, you can go ahead and go all the way down to the bottom, leave a name, leave an email, tell us what you like about the show. Tell us what you'd like to see. Our producers will pick one of you, and you will win the Canon 5D Snapshots to Gray Shots by Barry and X Perello. Barry and X is a phenomenal blogger and interviewer over at thecandidframe.com, and he's got a great way to be able to show you how to be able to take your pictures and make them into beautiful pictures. We also have the Rogue Flash Benders. This is a small diffusion panel that'll let you take that flash and make it just a little bit bigger for a little bit more coverage. These two prizes will be yours if you enter in the contest this week for episode 15. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Make sure that you come back next week for more tips, tricks, and inspiration here on Photography Tips and Tricks. Take care.